Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We're going to start at example 4 now. You'll notice that it's very similar to that of example 3, just a different series. We're starting off at -10. So again, I do recommend that we write down the information on the left-hand margin. I think that's important. Again, you don't need to, but I really think it's beneficial. So we have T1 equal to -10. Next, we have the difference. So our common difference is going to be D equal to -3 because it's going down 3 each time. So we have -10, subtract 3, we get -13, or -13 subtract -10 would be -13 plus 10. Add the opposite, we end up at -3. So either way, the difference is going down by 3. After that, we do know the general term, or in this case, the final term, which is t to the n equals -40. We don't know how many terms again, so it's n equals question mark, and of course we're looking for the sum. Look for the sum of the n number of terms, however many that's going to be is the question. So two things unknown. Again, like the last question, we're going to need the Tn formula for the general term, which is Tn is equal to T1 plus D bracket n minus 1. That'll allow us to solve for n. So let's plug in what we know. We know the last term, the general term, minus 40. In this case, we know the first term is -10. We know the difference is -3. So plus a negative, we just put -3. And again, remember, the -3 is multiplied by here first, which you'll see in the next step. Very important that we do that. So don't subtract. This is not -13 here. If you do that, it's going to be incorrect. What you're going to use is the distributive property, or you can add the 10 to both sides. Again, it's completely up to yourself. I'll do a different way, like a different method of solving for the unknown that I did in example 3, just to show you there's another way we can do this. So we could indeed multiply this out and then calculate term and solve. It's completely up to yourself. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to multiply the -3 out. So I get -3n, and then I'll multiply the -3 by the -1, which would be +3. Okay, so just a different strategy, a different way to isolate the variable n. This time, what we'll do is we'll calculate terms before we bring them over. So the -10 and the +3 come together, and that would give you -7, which will eliminate the 3. Next step, next line, you would take the 7 over, so you would add 7 to both sides. So if we add 7 to both sides, it's gone. Adding 7 to 44 will give us -43. And then the final step will be dividing by -3. And then when you divide by -3 on both sides, you would get n equal to -33 divided by -3 would give us +11. So we have 11 terms in the series. Next, we're going to find the sum. So in order to find the sum, again, I'll use the easy. Actually, no. You know what? It doesn't matter. I'll use the easier of the two. Again, you just want to be efficient if you can. Either formula for the sum would work because we have all 4 unknowns, so it's not going to make a difference. So we'll fill in n as 11 because we're looking for the sum of the 11 terms for this particular series. We know the first one is -10, and then the last one is -40, so we can add -40, which is the same as subtracting 40. Divided by 2, recopy that. And then we have -50, -10, subtract 40 to -50. And then -50 divided by 2 would be -25. -25 multiplied by 11 would give us -275. So what does this mean? This means that the sum of the 11 terms in this series will be -275. Let's look at example number 5. Example number 5, it says in an arithmetic series, the first term is 19, the sum of 7 terms is 196, find the sixth term. So the general term, the sixth term is what we're looking for. Right? So again, I'd like to write down my information, what we have. Obviously we have T1 is equal to 19. We have S, so the sum of 7 terms is equal to 196, and we have the sixth term is equal to question mark. What we're looking for. Sorry about that. Just had a little interruption. Let's pick up where we left off. So we have we know that the first term is 19. We know that the sum of 7 terms is 196, and we're looking for the sixth term. So we have to figure out, okay, what can we find here? What information do we know? Well, I don't think we can find anything right now. So we're probably going to need multiple formulas here in order to obtain this answer. So let's look at what we have. So we know the sum of 7, right? So let's take this out for a second. We'll put this a little lower. We know that n is equal to 7 if we use the sum of the first 7 terms. So we can take that information. So we do have 3 pieces of information. So what can we find? Well, if we look up at our formula sheet and we look at the second sum formula, that'll allow us to find our difference. Because, let me grab that formula. Thank you. All right. So the sum formula has n, which we know is 7 for the sum of 7 terms. T1 is 19. D we can find. And if we find D, then we can find the sixth term. All right. So let's do that. We'll take our recopy our formula again. So we're going to put in 7 for sum of 7 terms. N is equal to 7. T1 is equal to 19. So it's going to be 2 times 19. D is what we're looking for, and we know that there's 7 terms for the sum of the 7 terms. So we're going to take this. We're going to simplify this a bit by taking 7, subtracting 1, and getting 6, multiplied by D, so it's 6D. We can, at the same time, take 2 and multiply by 19 and get 38. And again, we can put in the 196, right? Because we know that the 7th term is 196. Could have did that above. I guess maybe I should have. It doesn't matter. I noticed it there. And now we just solve. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 2. Get rid of that 2 in the denominator. So multiplying both sides by 2, we end up with 392. Sorry, I'm just going to get the same font. So we're using 392 by multiplying that 2 at the denominator there. And we have 7 bracket 38 plus 60. So we multiply both sides by 2. Next thing we'll do is we'll divide both sides by 7. So we have 392 divided by 7, and we end up with 56. So our next line equal to 56 after dividing by 7. Dividing by the 7 allows us to eliminate the brackets. And now we will take the 38 and subtract it from both sides. So if we subtract 38, that's gone, leaving us with 60. And 56 subtract 38 would be 18. Divide both sides by 6. Divide both sides by 6, and we end up with, so divide that by 6. 6 divided by 6 is gone. 18 divided by 6 is 3. So we end up with the final answer of our difference is equal to 3. So once we have the common difference, now we can find the sixth term. And we can find the sixth term using the first equation that we were given, Tn equal to T1 plus T bracket n minus 1. So there's one little common mistake people will make. Remember, you look for the sixth term, so it's T6, so n is 6 now. Now I know it was 7 over here, but that's what we use that for completely independent right here of that. The difference isn't going to change from term to term. That's not going to matter. So n is 6 because we're looking for the sixth term. If we were looking for the fifth term, n would be 5. If we were looking for the third term, n would be 3, and so on. So the first term is 19. The difference we calculated was 3. N is 6 because we're looking for the sixth term. Let's simplify that. We get T6 is equal to 6 subtract 1 would be 5. And then we take our 5, multiply by 3, we get 15. And then we add 15 and 19 together, and we get 34. So that means that the sixth term, not the sum, but the sixth term in this sequence would be 34. All right, that'll be it for this video. The next video, we will finish off the section with example 6, determining the arithmetic teachers would have partial sums. So partial sums is interesting. All we know is sums, so from there I'm going to show you an approach. It'll take a little longer than some of the other examples, but for now, that's it for this particular lesson. We did example 4 and 5 in this video on page 11. And if you have any questions, comments, please ask, and any feedback, please let me know. Thank you.